in a situation where you find that a person look like the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
I have said that.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Daybreak on Trust TV. Time for us to take a look at the dailies on Daybreak. We have Ben Chemang, the former director of News Voice of Nigeria, with us in the studio to review the stories with us right here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Always a great pleasure.
All right, let's begin with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. The lead story here says governorship polls. Defeated candidates reject results in Kano, Lagos, Bauchi, Delta, and others. It has the riders that says urge supporters to remain calm, head for courts, protest rock Ogun, Nasarawa, Abia. Politicians must be ready to prove their cases, says lawyers. You'd find all the details on page 4. Above the lead story, soldier shoots Okada man, kills nursing mother, baby over 200 naira. Tinubu Atiku clash over comment on healing after polls. You'd find that on page 12. CBN's MPC raises interest rate to 18%, and that's on page 24. Now, below the lead story, outage looms as TCN set to disconnect 13 defaulting discos and Jankos on page 24. Woman sets son, grandchildren, daughter-in-law ablaze in Ondo on page 21. I'm eager to leave Aso Rock, says Buhari on page 35 for the upturned time. The president is saying that. Well, it's just a matter of few weeks, or I would say 2 months or so. You would find also the pictorial showing you the protests in Nasarawa, where women protest alleged manipulation of the Nasarawa governorship election. And now below that, 4 hurdles Zamfara governor-elect scaled to unseat Matawale. Governor imposes dusk to dawn curfew. All that on page 3 and 8. These are the main stories on the Daily Trust newspaper today.
Now let's take a look at the Leadership newspaper. It has a lead story that says 68 days to hand over. Remove fuel subsidy before you go. U.S. government tells federal government, tells PMB. And then we have a rider that says President takes stock, says I've addressed insecurity, separatist agitations, oil theft. And beneath that, we have a picture of the Benue State governor-elect. And there's a statement there where he says, I don't need a first lady to govern, as experts explain why Matawale, Omagigi, Abubakar, others lost. Still on the leadership, we have no manipulation can overturn our results in Abia. This is coming from the Labour Party candidate, OT. And beneath that, terrorism, federal government arraigns negotiator Mamu on 10-count charge. We also have Naira scarcity bites harder as MPC raises interest rate to 18%. 21 days after, Atiku Obi filed petitions against presidential election. And just above the masthead, we have PDP wins Taraba, Zamfara polls, Dere shocks Matawale, APC wins Niger. Also, we have Tinubu flees purveyors of ethnicity, violence. We also have Ramadan, Muslims look out for new moon today. These are the major stories on the Leadership newspaper for today.
All right, now let's take a look at the Vanguard newspaper. On the Vanguard, the lead story there talks about Tinubu sues for peace, condemns ethnic slurs, election violence. You'd find also above the masthead, anxiety heightens over Enugu Abia governorship results. CBN admits weak links in cash withdrawals, raises policy rate. You have Kaduna train attack, FG docks terrorist negotiator Mamu on 10-count charge. FG exempts Telcom from 5% excise duty. Also, below the lead story, Several other stories there. Constitution review, Buhari rejects bill on power to summon president governors. Well, you also have polls. U.S. plans new visa ban on electoral offenders. How I curbed vote buying. Buhari. Obi, Atiku, others file petitions to nullify Tinubu's victory. You have contempt. Order courts to reject EFCC cases. Over 250 lawyers tell NJC. Kaduna poll. PDP rejects INEC's declaration of APC's Uba Sani. You have also, in sports news, Shorumu hits back at NFF. So these are the main stories on the Vanguard this morning.
Now let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. It has a lead story that says, President-elect. This is coming from the President-elect. He says, election is over. It's time for healing. And then the writer, Tinubu decries ethnic politics, violence. And beneath that, we have Washington Post rates polls high in spite of hitches. Also, just beneath the masthead, we have no cash in banks despite CBN's 1 trillion naira in circulation claim. Anxiety over results persists in Enugu, Abia, Adamawa, and Kebbi. And above the masthead, we have declare me winner or cancel election, Obi urges tribunal. Then the rider, Labour Party files 3 grounds petition. We also have digital economy operators exempted from 5% excise duty. Wike tackles Amechi for linking INEC chair to him. These are the major stories on the Nation for today.
All right. Now, on the Punch newspaper, the lead story, protests rock Ogun, Abia, Nasarawa over poll results. Adebutu Kano, APC candidates ask INEC to declare elections inconclusive. LP groups want Abia, Enugu, Lojam resolved. Oshun, Oyo tribunals get 34 petitions. I didn't interfere in polls. Results reflected Nigerians' choices, says Buhari. Above the masthead, Atiku, Obi, 2 others ask tribunal to nullify Tinubu's victory. U.S. hails INEC threatens visa ban over violence and intimidation. You have below the pictorials, economists fault MPC over 18% lending rate. Ogun ex-permanent secretary, wife found dead in Lagos home. FG loses suit to recover 70 trillion naira loot. These are the main stories on the Punch newspaper.
Over now to This Day newspaper. Has a lead story that says, Obi, Atiku, 2 others want tribunal to void Tinubu's declaration as president-elect. And the first rider, declare me winner of presidential election, Obi tells tribunal, says Tinubu Shatima not qualified to be on ballot. Second rider, 6 president-elect's disqualification on account of his U.S. drug-related forfeitures. And above that, we have, this is coming from the president, saying, I'm happy Nigerians now realize their voting power. Says, I told voters to take money, vote according to their conscience. Hints is eager to retire home to tend his over 300 animals. Remove fuel subsidy before leaving, U.S. envoy advises president. And above the masthead, we have Emefiele apologizes for deluge of online transaction failure. Just above that as well, we have, this is coming from the president-elect, physical verbal assaults during the March 18 governorship state assembly elections unacceptable. And then we have, just beneath the pictorial, I am opposite of what you're saying about me, Obi replies in Namani. These are the major stories on This Day newspaper for today.
All right, so let's get some perspectives to some of the stories that we just read out on the front pages of our papers. Ben Chairman, quite a lot of stories this morning. We're seeing reactions from the governorship and state assembly elections. Maybe we should begin with that. The Daily Trust newspaper is leading with, the reactions that governorship candidates in various states are rejecting the outcome, and that's not only for the governorship. I'm certain that even from some of the state assembly candidates. Are you surprised at the kind of rejections that we are seeing now, at the kind of protest that is trailing? Why is it hard for opponents or candidates who run in that election to just accept the verdict of INEC?
The problem is accepting defeat is never easy for the Nigerian politician. It's not easy. I mean, if it were like football, in the end, you see them hugging themselves. Oh, you've tried, man. Another day, we'll see what we'll do. But even when you hear politicians saying it's not a do or die affair, post-election violence are always very, very dangerous. Especially when people feel I won and I was denied. You know. But when some people also feel if you are not satisfied, go to the court, and in the court, it's like they know, okay, with the judiciary, it's as if it is not an unserious kind of, just go there now and go and lay your complaint. After all, how many presidential elections have been upturned? None in this country. Then if you look at even the US coming to say, well, there are some areas that we don't agree with. You know, it's a very big thing. People thought that when Goodluck Jonathan, look at 2015, when Goodluck Jonathan just felt he was not going to challenge it. The law allowed him to challenge if he wanted. He also encouraged the party, PDP. The law allows the party to also challenge on behalf of the candidate, or the candidate and the party can go together, a three-pronged kind of approach. But Jonathan simply said no. And that period, you just saw that court cases went down. I mean, it was like the lawyers were not happy that time. Today, everybody, you can see from one of the headlines, whoever does not accept, go to court, the onus is on you to prove. And of course, that tells you also the lawyers are happy with the situation. We are persistently, continuously, and insistently that we will have to all be going to court.
Mr. Sherman, I have been wondering though, with all of this number, I mean, apart from the Kano, Lagos, Bauchi, and Delta here, we still have a lot of others within the story that the persons who came second or third are saying they are going to court. Now, the thing is, I'm wondering, is it that they truly do not believe in the outcome of the result? They do not believe in the process? Or in some cases, some persons are saying that maybe some of them are going to court so that it will put them in a better bargaining situation, in a better bargaining position when a new government comes in?
Yeah, you see, the person who wants to have some bargaining chips will rather pull out from going to court so that they align with someone they've perceived has won. Now, if somebody is insisting in going to court and is in court and, of course, providing whatever evidence, of course, he feels he has won. Probably the ways of Imo State will come his way, where number 3 suddenly became the governor, going by some rulings of the
actually number 4.
Number 4. I mean, today he's still a governor. So some people will feel that that could still happen. But again, it all depends on what evidence they have. What indeed are the demands? Are the demands of APC the same thing, PDP, the same thing with that of Labour? So whatever are your cries are the ones the Supreme Court, the Electoral Tribunal will look out for, and if there are remedies, there are the remedies being given to you. So it's just a pity that honestly we overdrag this matter, spend government funds, spend people's funds, and in the end, what do you get?
Okay, do you think that there are trust issues here? Maybe trust on the credibility of INEC. Maybe that's why we're seeing this. Maybe it's not necessarily that there are infractions or irregularities, but just that is just the trust that is not there.
You see, this going to court is not about the presidential candidate alone. Usually you have to join INEC. INEC will have to be a co-defendant. Come and defend your actions and inactions. Here you are, the law says this, and look at it. Did you comply with this? Did you comply with that? You know, so the burden of trust, you see, you have to allow people to see and accept that these elections were free, credible, fair, and therefore acceptable or accepted by the voting population, and even those who did not vote, so that they don't say, didn't I tell you? I told you I won't vote, because the result would not just be it, you know. And so, yes, issue of trust, and trust, you see, is a burden. You have to live above board. Now, we're seeing inconclusive elections still hanging on. It's really not the best at all. So I think that INEC has to be above board. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it's like there's no immediate election that they have to kind of come clean.
Mr. Chairman, how much of a burden is this issue for the winners of this election? Because it's easy for the winners to say, well, I won, so I'm not bothered about whoever wants to go to court, let them go to court. How much of a burden is it? Because it's going to have, you are going to have a situation where every now and then people are going to question your legitimacy.
Exactly.
And say, well, after all, you didn't really emerge, you were just given.
It's just like someone who is just out of prison. At the point, some people will say, he's an ex, he's an ex. But in the case of these elections, when people will say, it's like a stolen mandate, and of course, you parade yourself that way. The day you are swearing in, that burden is there. You carry the Holy Quran, you carry the Holy Bible, and swear that, see, I mean, it's a very big burden, truly, that you are holding those books and saying everything went okay, and you are being sworn in by those conducts. And therefore, when you move along the road, what really do you have in, what is your thinking in your innermost self? Do you feel comfortable? Can you sleep very well and say, yes, I have it, you know? And so the burden is just it's like a scare on a man's or woman's face. An injury is there, and to show what happened to your forehead every time you owe people explanations.
All right, Mr. Shema, you mentioned something. You said in 2015, the number of litigations that we had were not so many, and that was shortly after the president at that time congratulated the president-elect, and, you know, he didn't challenge it. Now, this time around, it appears as if we're going to have a lot from what we have seen so far. Now, what changed? Is it that the politicians just are finding it very difficult to accept defeat, or that the conduct by INEC at that time and now they have a problem with the conduct?
You see, when Goodluck Jonathan accepted defeat, that already doused tension. And when you look at President Buhari's statements thereafter, I remember I was in the State House. He said, see, do you know Jonathan is a Democrat? Tell me who would have simply, in Africa, picked the phone and call an opponent. You have won. Set up your committee. I said mine. Look at transition. That doused tension. Again, Buhari will tell you, it's always not democracy. Where a governor is in a state and you're organizing elections, all chairmen, all lawmakers must come from the governor's party. What kind of democracy? He was always saying it. Can we begin to practice democracy? You could see that But people thought that it was going to take the shape the days of Yaradua too, who indeed was not someone who came out to say the process that brought him in was marred with irregularities. So today we are seeing resurgence, let me put it, an avalanche of court cases, people believing I won. Even the person who got maybe 5,000 votes believes he won, so the honors, again, like we said, is for him or her to come and prove.
Okay.
You see people withdrawing from the races too because there were irregularities. Internal democracies, even within the parties.
Okay,
you
so
don't find them.
let's talk about the big elephants in the room, talking about these litigation issues, the presidential candidates in this election. Obi, Atiku, two others want tribunal to void Tinubu's declaration as president-elect. So yesterday we saw that they formally filed their petition at the tribunal seeking the nullification of the outcome of the election. That's declaring Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the winner. What do you make of all this in terms of the substance of the case?
Well, you see, I am a spectator in this matter, as it is. But what's the substance in this case? If you said there were snatching of ballot boxes, snatching of ballot papers, vote stuffing, it's for you to prove. If you say it was schemed, skewed, arranged in such a way that it favors one side, it's for you to prove. Now, if you say security agencies were used against all odds, against democratic culture and norm, it's for you to prove.
So one of the issues raised by the Peter Obi, for instance, is he's questioning the eligibility of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to run for the office in the first place.
Yes.
So the issue of the allegations around the drug case, the drug trafficking issue was raised. The allegations around his certificates and the rest of them were raised as well.
Well, let's hope that the case is handled and finished, even up to Supreme Court, before the swearing in. But the moment you've sworn him in, it will not just be easy to carry on with these prosecutions because of some of these immunities a sitting president or governor has in Nigeria.
But does the immunity cover, a tribunal that is challenging? Well, I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah,
I don't know if the immunity will now cover also
is absolute
the challenges and the challenging
but the matter continues at the court, even if
the matter. That would just be an academic exercise. You can't arrest him. The only thing you can do is an impeachment. And again, who is
Are you saying that after the swearing in, the court cannot make a judgment to nullify his election?
Well, you see, the Constitution is the greatest of the greatest. It gives immunity to these people. So what do you do?
The immunity has nothing to do with the ruling of a court, though. The court continues with its work even if when somebody has been sworn.
In fact, the court can continue sitting. But what has been the result of every court sitting? Shagali had it. What was the result?
No, but if you talk about that, there are cases, to draw from. There are examples to draw from. Lawyers have talked about cases in Malawi and also in Kenya where there were, court cases similar to this that were upturned. But we leave that argument to lawyers.
Yeah, all right. Still on. While that is ongoing, while the close contenders are in court, Atiku and the Labour Party, we saw the president-elect saying yesterday that it is time for the healing process should begin. And why he said so, one of the spokespersons of Atiku said, well, the healing process cannot begin if some persons who were seen to have made some inciting statements or have been involved in voter suppression are not seen to be punished. Specifically, the statement mentioned MC Oluomo, that he made some statements and no arrests have been made or anything that, so you cannot talk about a healing process. What do you make of that?
Honestly, we've been speaking about the burden in this election. Even Bayo Ononoga, the man who is in charge, as the spokesman of the campaign team, and is still speaking for the president-elect. What did he say? Igbos being warned even against 2027. We've not even started the journey towards 2027. Now, how do you set up an agenda this way for an incoming regime? For where your principal is saying, let's begin to find ways, frayed nerves will have to be settled, let's calm down. Can we have some committees to begin to, look, let's mellow down. The musician will say, kulu temper when it comes to this election. It's just like Femi Adesina. I think he will leave office with also a burden, where he was telling people around Southern Kaduna, Plateau, said, look, why do you stick up to onto your traditional land when you can surrender it and stay alive? You know, that kind of a thing. When you are speaking for a president who is for every citizen, you must know the thinking of your principal. When your principal is standing on a spot, you cannot start a movement. If it's going to the right, don't go to the left. And that's exactly what we are seeing.
Is that
when we had, just a moment, when we had Oba of Lagos, 2019, at the point he was saying, if the Igbos do not vote for his candidate in Lagos, I mean, they'll be pushed to the lagoons. In a federation of this nature, I think it doesn't augur well. When people just believe a place, I mean, like Lagos, you say, the Igbos can simply pack and go. I saw somebody saying, look, so much of Igbo investment is in Lagos. But when you look at the Yoruba investment in Igbo land, I'm sorry, they brought religion in. They say you just have branches of churches. So, what does it say? Even if it is branches of churches, it's to seek for this unity. It's for us to move ahead. And so, let us believe in this oneness of this country. And that's why I will always call for state of residence in all our forms, officially, instead of state of origin. We have always said it. Yes, let me come. When Stella, her children want to go to NTA, they say, where's your state of origin? Meanwhile, they were married, they were given birth in Abuja, they attended school here, she paid taxes in Abuja. Now they are told to go to her state. Maybe the husband, again, is from a different state. All sorts of things. Why don't we simply accept some things and move on easily, rather than heightening tension? And when you look at those who are heightening this tension, they are people who indeed are stakeholders of this nation.
All right. Well, I mean, the subject of, like the one we are talking about, ethnic profiling and the rest of them, I wonder whether we are ever going to come over that and overcome that, because we heard about stories of non-indigens in Taraba, for instance, winning election. I think an Igbo person, it was reported in one of the stories. I'm just trying to look for the story. I couldn't find it. And then some other non-indigens winning elections in Taraba. We also had in the southeastern part of the country how a Yoruba person won an election in the state assembly. So when you hear such stories and you put that side by side with what is happening in other parts of the country, so for instance Lagos, and with all the narratives around ethnic politics and the rest of them, what are we not doing to emphasize the fact that one of the first qualifications of winning or contesting a seat is the fact that you are a Nigerian.
Absolutely. You see, but one is still worried when you begin to profile. See the attack when it came to this Rose Vivo, the
Labour Party candidate in Lagos.
Candidate of a Labour Party in Lagos. At the point you see some newspapers, Southwest, they prefer to use his Igbo name. That tells you don't belong. The man is also, yes, he has an Igbo name. Yes, he has a mother Igbo, as I was told. Does it make it less? Does it make him less criminal, less less innocent? Does it make him, less a citizen? And why is it that the Yoruba name you will not use? What's wrong with that? So that is profiling the man. And again, the same newspapers you can see screaming headlines. They're now saying Asiwaju is talking about reconciliation. Is it? We are watching to see if those headlines will now come back and start giving the man as a badebo. Why do you just profile? It shouldn't just be. Truly, it should not.
Okay.
All right.
Another story.
All right. Away from politics, there's this rather sad story on the front page of the Daily Trust. It says, soldier shoots Okada man, kills nursing mother, baby, over 200 naira. And if you go into the story, you find that it was alleged that the soldier wanted to collect a bribe of 200 naira from the Okada operator, and the man zoomed off, and he zoomed after the man, shot at the man, and the bullet kills the woman and her baby. And this is coming shortly after the incident in Taraba, where soldiers also engaged policemen killing, So I'm wondering, what do you make of all of that?
You see, this case is the case of, the army will wash its hands off this man. That guy was not doing that job on behalf of the Nigerian army. They say provide security where there is insecurity. Why were you collecting a bribe? What for? And a man has gone. In fact, you are even told, if a criminal is escaping, and your pursuit will even bring more harm, it's better for him to escape than you now go and kill innocent people. As it is now, he just has to face it, court-martial him, just watch, that day will come. See, that's how they'll just strip him of his uniform completely. He will live there, and as soon as he removed them, they said, you are hereby dismissed. They now grab him, give him to the police. And of course, it's a murder case, multiple murder. He perceived it, he planned it, he executed it. So what else? all the ingredients of a murder is there.
But do you think that the army needs to do more? Because, this is coming shortly after what happened in Taraba. Maybe there's a need for some internal cleansing of the staff members or something.
It's different from when you have clashes between army, police. You say the army needs to do more. But tell me, it's like the African saying, mama monkey. The mama says the baby is at its back. As they move on, doesn't know when the baby just plucked something. In the same vein, you do deployment, you've coached these people, you've trained these people, you've told them, in fact, people who have suffered consequences of their misbehaviors are deterrent enough. But you still find this. So in every good situations, we always have some bad elements who indeed will want to give the military a very bad name.
Okay.
But that single guy cannot be the yardstick, the measurement, the scale in which to measure the conduct of soldiers in operations.
All right, Ben Chemang, in 1 minute, rounding up, we have a story here that says, I'm eager to leave Aso Rock, says Buhari. The president is saying that almost for the upteenth time now. What's your take on this? It looks like the man is so tired of this.
In fact, he has been saying it, and he would also want to go take care of his over 300 animals. That's very good, and it means the animals are in a space and they are being taken care of. can we begin to also school others? Can we have the animals in some places so that you see that harmonious livelihood between or living between herders and farmers will be a very good thing. So that water schools are also taken to the nomadics. They deserve to have it too. Like the president is having his in a sport. General Abdul Salami is having his in a sport. Okay. He is tired, but don't be tired, Mr. President. You still have bills that are waiting for you to sign. Don't be tired, Mr. President. Look at those things and sign them. Mr. President, there are also people, some boards that are supposed to have some chairman, Mr. President.
At this point in time, please, we are talking about...
just help to sign them before you go. Don't be tired, Mr. President. And again, school the people. Let us live in peace so that Nigeria will move forward, Mr. President. So congratulations, PMB.
All right. Thank you so much, Ben Shemang, the former director of News Voice of Nigeria, for your perspectives on this segment.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's it. We'll take a short breather now, and then when we return, Daybreak will continue. Join us again.
But in a situation where you find that a look at the
not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that